Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the Choose Wisely podcast. We got episode 2 here. I'm your host, Michael Subsky, and with me today, we have a very good friend of mine. His name is Luke Schimpf. Luke is a real estate agent, but he also owns his own real estate company. They mainly do real estate flips around the Cleveland area, but then they also dabble in some rental properties. Luke, how are we doing today?
I'm good. Thanks for having me on, Mike.
Yeah. All right. We got take 2 going here. We already tried this.
I know. Hey, second time's a charm, right?
Yeah, exactly. So Luke obviously already knows this because we've already done a podcast before, but it didn't work out as well as we wanted it to. But the entire point of this podcast is to help out those college kids who really don't know what it is that they want to do in their life. I think that this podcast can be great for those guys and girls to kind of get more insight into what the lives of certain careers look like. So, for example, if someone were interested in going into the real estate career, so to speak, they could listen to this podcast, hear what Luke has to say, and maybe help them decide if this is actually a career that they're interested in. And so, with that being said, Luke, I want to ask you as your first question, why did you choose real estate? You know, what was the thinking behind it? Was it something that you just kind of dove into, didn't really know, or were you planning on getting into real estate? You know, because that's what a lot of these kids are struggling with is why to do something, why to jump into something. So maybe help these guys out.
So I think I always knew early on that I just did not want to work for somebody. So, you know, evaluating those options, and after you know that, it's not, you have to be a business owner, right? So in college, I worked for a property management company, literally walked in the front door. I knew I kind of had an interest in real estate, asked for a job. He gave me a job. I mean, I was making minimum wage, like $9 an hour, but I learned a lot. And I learned that I loved real estate. And I then got my license, which then led me to sell real estate. And then once I sold real estate, I started flipping real estate and then buying rental properties. So it really has just kind of spiraled from that first point of, you know, realizing that, hey, I think that this is a path that I'd like to go down. So
did you, obviously I know this, but did you tell these people, did you go to college with the intent of doing real estate? Did you major in real estate?
I had a sales and services marketing degree, which is pretty much a communications degree. I did have to pass calculus, and I did pass calculus, maybe with the help of Eric Weidenhofer, but he was a very good, smart friend of mine. But no, I did not know what I want to do. And to be frank, and you and I have spoken a lot about this, if I probably would not have gone to college had I not had the blessing of my parents paying for it. So I think that there's a lot to be learned in college other than academics, right? I learned a lot about myself. I made a lot of friends. And I like the experience. And in my opinion is honestly, in a way, kind of what you pay for. Not for everybody, right? If you're a doctor or attorney or, you know, a degree that you have to have a college education for, but somebody like me who's in sales, you don't need a degree.
But do you think that the experience and the people that you met, I mean, because you became a real estate agent while you were at Bowling Green. I mean, do you think that experience and learning through that and meeting all those people, I mean,
yeah, absolutely.
You wouldn't think that that's worth the money that you had to have paid to go?
I've never sat down and really thought, well, if it wasn't paid for, would I go? But I think that what worked for me and what you're just saying is it was kind of like a trial run, right? Like for 4 years, I was still living under my parents' dime, right? I didn't really have any real obligations. And I learned a lot and did a lot in those 4 years. And I would not, had I not started doing what I'm doing now, I could not have gone, in college, I could not have come out of college and gone full time into what I'm doing. I kind of laid a foundation while I was there. So while other people were busy studying and doing all that stuff, I was really more concerned about building my business so that when I left, I didn't have to go get a job.
That's kind of been one of my bigger regrets of college. I obviously, if you guys watch episode 1, you'll see that I'm a poker player. I've been playing poker for a very long time, and I spent most of my time in college playing poker as kind of like my side hustle, which was great. I made a decent amount of money playing, and that money helped me out a little bit, but I would have much rather have built something as Luke did. So that's why I feel like I might have not liked the idea of college far back when, but after kind of looking back on it, if I would have utilized my college career kind of how you did,
Right.
Using it as a way of taking that free time to actually build something as you have,
Right.
I think that is what makes college worth it. And then also all those people that you meet. Some could say that the education's important, but I think I don't know. But unless you think differently, I think college can really help someone, in terms of the timing of having some time before actually starting their career.
I completely agree. I mean, had I not gone, I would have moved back in with my parents. I would have had to go get a job, right? But I think it's worth it for most people. But I don't understand the people who go and get into $100,000 worth of debt and they come out with a social services degree and they're going to make $50,000 at the most, probably the rest of their life, right?
Yeah, I would also say I'm talking if your college is
Right.
being paid. That free time that you get to go build a business does not matter if you're
Right.
going into hundreds of thousands of debt
Right.
for a very terrible major.
Or people who will go, change their major, spend 6 years there, right? And just, that's a lot.
Well, so it's funny. That is the reason why I've created this podcast, as a way to help those people, not waste a couple years of college doing something that they don't want to do. I had I won't say it. I had a friend in college who, for the first year or two, was he was pre-med and he wanted to be a dentist.
Right.
And then he realized he didn't want to be a dentist. And then after, I forget if it was 1 or 2 years, but after 1 or 2 years, he switched over to being an accountant. There's tons and tons of people out there who either start a major and are too scared to switch it because they don't want to spend more years and more money, or they do switch it and then they've wasted a couple of years of their career.
So let me ask you a question. If you could do it all over again and you had to pay for it, would you go?
I think
I would say yes. I know my answer is yes.
I think I would.
Yeah.
I think I would. Knowing what I know now, I would still definitely get, out of all the business majors, I would definitely get I would still get an accounting major or finance or maybe economics. I don't even know about economics, but definitely finance or accounting. I don't think you can go wrong with those majors, but if I had to pay for it, I would definitely stay in state, and I would definitely have tried to work hard enough in high school to get some money off. If I had to go back to college, and knowing what I know now, but knowing that I would have to pay for it, yeah, like I said, would go as cheap as, honestly, OSU was pretty cheap. OSU, for what the school was and what it offered, I would say it was definitely pretty worth it, and because I was in state. But what do you think? I know you asked me. I'm curious what your answer is. Is it pretty similar? Would you have gone with the same major? What would you have done?
I would have gone with the same major. I mean, I don't regret.
Really?
I don't regret going or doing what as I knew, like, from freshman year on, I knew, and at that time you can still be undecided. I had already made the first step into real estate and realized I think this is what I want to do. So I was very fortunate early on to know what I wanted to do. But where I think a lot of people put too much focus on is like they just get worried that they're going to switch their major or they don't know what they want to do. Like, you just have to put one foot forward and try something. You don't know until you try, right? Go get an internship, go get a job and see what you like. But so, and I realize that I'm fortunate and not like everybody else in that regard. But to answer your question, I would probably go again. I made a lot of great friends. I made a lot of great connections. My broker who I worked for there for 3 years is still a great friend and was a terrific mentor to me. We still keep in touch, and no, I don't regret going.
Talking about college, because that is what a lot of the people who are listening to this, they could definitely use some of this information. I think social media makes there's a big push on social media that like people just don't need college, especially with with things like Chat GPT coming out. Anyone who talks to Luke here about real estate can immediately right away know that he is very knowledgeable about real estate. I've walked through many houses with him because I am interested in getting into it myself, and just the way he speaks about it, how he's able to describe the house, where he sees there could be value added and all that stuff, all that good stuff. So my only thing is there's a lot of people out there who wouldn't do what you do, who wouldn't start a business. Because you became knowledgeable when you started the business and you were putting in all that work. Mm-hmm. There's a lot of people out there, I feel like, who don't have that drive to like start a business and actually learn about something like real estate. And they don't learn anything in college. I feel like that could be a big detriment to them just being like a knowledgeable, competent person.
I would argue that people that are probably listening to this podcast are the type of people that would do it, though.
I would agree. Yeah.
For the most part.
Yeah. I would say so. Oh, yeah. A great compliment to the people listening to the Choose Wisely podcast. Yeah. But enough about college. I mean, we've given our opinions on it. I think we both pretty much agree that college can be very useful depending on the major and depending on how you utilize it. But let's get into, what we're actually here for. Luke, obviously you started off as a real estate agent. You kind of touched on that a little bit, but I want to get into 21 Hill Real Estate. I want to get into the company. Explain to us what exactly it is that you're doing with 21 Hill Real Estate, and how you got to where you are with the company.
Okay. Yeah, so I think that the easiest way to break it down is to share kind of the three facets of our business. There's technically three companies, right? So there's a sales side, 21 Hill Realty. I still am a licensed realtor. I don't really use my license all that much anymore. I have a great partner, Jack Krasinski, and two of his other brothers are partners with us as well, who heads up our sales side of our team. So if Michael Subsky comes to us and says, I want to buy a house, more times than not, he's going to work with somebody like Jack. There's a team of 8 other realtors that work under us. And then we have a flipping business, which is kind of the division that I head up. So this year we have flipped, I think, 32 homes. Last year we did 23. So we're on track to, obviously we already have beaten it, but do quite a bit more, which is exciting. So those are all homes that are distressed for the most part, or somebody needs, a quick sale. We buy them, we fix them up, we sell them. And then the third part of our business is we just have a rental portfolio. So, and that is where Jack's two other brothers, Mark and Pete, are involved as well. So my partner, Jack, is my day-to-day partner. We each own half the business, and then the brothers are only involved in our rental business. So obviously you got three sides of the business, and I want to touch on a little bit of everything. I'm going to start with the main one first, which is I would assume it's the flipping side of it. Yep.
So you said you've been in business how many years? It's been 2 years?
We started our flipping business in 2021.
Okay.
So it was like January of 2021.
So like 2.5 years or 3 years?
It's been almost 3 years now.
And so your first year you did how many flips?
My first year we probably only did like 6.
Okay. And then the second year?
But I was still in college at that time, right?
Yeah. And then the second year you bumped it up to 20.
Second year we did 23. Yep.
Okay.
And this year we're on track to do 30. Right now we're at 32. I'll probably only have 1 or 2 more closed by the end of the year.
And so that growth has just come from mainly, kind of proving yourself out like the first year, and from proving yourself out, being able to gain more investments from different people and being able to raise more capital.
That, and I honestly would say the biggest game changer for us has been, one, now I'm full-time, obviously. I was not full-time when we first started. But the second year, now we're on to our third year. The second year, the biggest struggle I had was quality control. I did not have a good crew, right? And I would tell you that I was almost ready to quit the business because I was, one, not proud of the product that I was putting out. It was junk. There's a lot of people in our industry that just they don't care, right? It's a sloppy lipstick on a pig is literally the term, right? And that's not what we do anymore. So I said, all right, if I'm going to continue doing this, I want to be proud of the product we put out. Any product that we put out, I stand behind it. If anybody who buys one of our houses has an issue with it, I will make it right. I don't want to be the guy with the reputation as a shoddy flipper, right? But what's been a game changer for us is I've established a fantastic crew. So we run a full-time Amish crew. There's 12 of them. They are fantastic carpenters. They show up every single day at 8 o'clock and they work until 4. And they've been a blessing for my business. So they've been working for us now for like a year and a half. I found them midway through last year, and it's been a great relationship. So that, and then like you said, we've obviously taken on some more investment to do, what we're doing, but that came through kind of proving yourself, right? Now that I finally have a resume of some properties where, we're making money, people are a little bit more apt to invest in your, in what you're doing. So, two facets, better crew, and now we're able to just take on more capital to do more deals.
Yeah, so I do want to get into how, some advice and stuff like that for how these people watching can kind of do what it is that you're doing. But before I ask that, I want to ask about the crew. So, because I know that a big problem that a lot of people have in your sort of business is finding a crew as good as you have found. Mm-hmm. So what are some tips on finding a really great crew? What have you realized? What are you looking for? What should these people be looking for when they're trying to find that dream team and so to speak? I'm
not going to lie. I honestly lucked out. So I had a guy who was doing epoxy countertops for us. I don't know if you've ever seen those. It's like they come in, if you have, say, like a surface like this, they'll come in and you can literally like redo them with epoxy and make it look like it's granite or quartz. So that guy was Amish. And I've always known that like Amish people are very skilled craftsmen, right? This guy did a good job. And I was so fed up at the time. My crew was terrible. I just asked him, I said, hey, do you know any trim carpenters, that are looking for work? And he literally goes, well, you're in luck. My whole family, 12 of them, they were working for a custom home builder out in Huron, building multi-million-dollar homes. And he said, the guy just retired. They're out of work. They're looking for somebody to work for. So I swooped them up. They did a couple jobs for me. And then at that point, I'm like, all right, I've got something special here. It's game on, right? So my mentality switched to, how do I keep these guys on my team full time, right? I've got to have houses lined up for them to do, because we'll crank out, a house in 2 weeks now. It's not like a full rehab. If it's a standard bungalow, we can get through a house in 2 weeks. So now it's the volume, finding the deals. But to answer your question, I lucked out. I really did.
But I don't think that is lucking out. I think I actually, maybe I'll just listening to that answer. Maybe I can answer the question for you. But you just asked. You did something like you almost asked for like a referral. Not a referral.
I did, and the funniest part is they were super skittish of working for me at first. Like the Amish they're very loyal to whoever they work for. And like the crew leader for the first couple of jobs, like he's the dad, wouldn't come out, wanted to make sure that I paid on time, right? And once he realized like, hey, this guy, my kid's like working for him and he pays us right when we're done, he started to show up, and it's been for the last year and a half history.
I mean, you did something that a lot of people like wouldn't even think to do. It's funny. I was scrolling through TikTok the other day and I saw, I think it was Alex Hormozy just talking about, he was dealing with a company and there was a salesman doing a lot better than every other salesman. He wasn't that much better than them, but he asked the salesman, why are you doing so much better than everyone else? Like, what are you doing? And he said, at the end of every sale that I make, I just ask the person if he has any friends who would also like to buy the product. It's something as simple as just asking a question that other people aren't willing to ask. I mean,
right.
Like you could have this guy did one project for you.
At first, yeah.
What if you just like never asked, you didn't ask him and then you never saw him again and
No, I
you
know.
wouldn't have found this. It's literally just as simple as asking.
Right.
Just, I mean, we've talked about this, obviously they're not going to know, but like we talked about when Luke Krajlak went up to you at a Chipotle and just started talking to you. I mean, there's so many people out there who just, if they knew you, saw you, they would have maybe just never gone up to you and maybe not formed that great of a connection with you. But, instead of shying away from it, you just asked.
Right.
There's no hurt in asking.
And now what also, like, meeting these guys, it's opened up other doors to other crews that are Amish as well. So like these guys, the 12 that work full time for us, they are our interior guys, but I also now have an exterior crew there's like 6 of them. They don't work for us full time, but I've made, just by meeting these guys, a lot of other connections that have helped me out tremendously too.
Yeah.
So it's one door leads to another, right? So they're awesome. They do a great job. And, my biggest compliment is a lot of times people who walk our properties, I have realtors all the time call me and say, it is so refreshing to see a quality flip job, right? A lot of our houses, they're like new construction houses. And I can't take credit for any of that. It's all these guys.
Yeah.
So
would you say having that dream team of contractors has been the biggest flip around in terms of like your business? Because I know you said that.
Because if you don't have the crew, listen, it does not matter how many deals you have. If you don't have the crew, you can't execute, right? I could be the best marketer, I could be the best deal finder, but at the end of the day, I have to have the crew to get the job done. And if you don't have the crew, you have nothing. So I figured out the rest, right? My partner Jack is a wizard. He's awesome. He finds me the deals, and right now I'm basically a glorified. I'm not even a real estate investor. I'm a general contractor, seriously. So
while we're on the topic of kind of advice, I guess for helping people out who want to maybe be where you're at, let's talk about the actual properties, right? So let's talk. I want to talk about location first, and we'll talk more overall location. Obviously you're from Cleveland, so that's why you're doing deals in Cleveland. But any advice for, where in general, like what cities are you mainly looking for? Like what aspects of a city make a good city for flipping houses in real estate?
Listen, I think it's like, what does Warren Buffett say? If you don't know, what does he say? If you don't know what it is, then don't invest in it.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Something like that, right? So
only invest in what you know?
Only invest in what you know. So just because what I'm saying, other people might not agree with it, right? There are plenty of other people in Cleveland that have a much different business model than I do that are doing much better than I am, right? But I know the Brexville market, the Broadview Heights market, and within a 20-minute radius of where we live right now. So 20-minute radius is, on the east side out to Shaker, right? Maybe a little bit further than that, but out to Shaker on the east side, out to, say, like a Lakewood on the west side, right? So any of those neighborhoods and communities, I know like the back of my hand, but if you start getting into, like Lorraine or Sandusky, I don't know what homes are worth out there, right? But I really have finally, and this has only come in the last couple of years, I can go out to a house and go, okay, I know what this looks like within what the value will look like when it's done within a 20-minute radius of Brexville.
It's a great skill to have, man. Right. That's an unbelievable skill to have.
And I'd like to be able to expand it, right? But it's years of learning it and doing it and being involved in various neighborhoods. So,
okay. And so, all right, so we're talking about kind of that's the answer to the broad location question, like what city in general, right? Invest in what you know. Let's talk about more specific locations. So like a house on a certain street, right? A house in a certain part of a city within Cleveland, right? What are you looking for in terms of like that location? For example, are you looking for a house that's like near a highway or a house that's, near like a I'm just spitballing here, but like a house near a gas station, anything like that? Is there anything that you're looking for there, or is it just purely like this house is undervalued and I can put in enough?
Yeah. I mean, listen, if it's a deal at the end of the day and we think we can make money, we'll buy it. But my partner and I were just talking about this today, right? So let's take Garfield Heights as an example, right? Right now, the market is a little bit soft, right? So even 6 months ago, if I bought a house in Garfield Heights and listed it for $150,000, which is, say, your average sale price in Garfield Heights, I could sell it in 3 days, right? I've got 2 properties sitting on the market in Garfield Heights right now for over 30 days. So whereas if I'm here in Brecksville right now, where the market is still not great, but much better, I can unload the house much easier, right? And that's because people are looking for good school districts, right? That's a very important aspect, right?
So there's one.
School districts, people love the parks, right? Brecksville has a good park system. Highway is important, right? Again, Brecksville is a fantastic location, Broadview Heights, because you're centrally located, east side, west side. You hop on 77,
yeah,
and you can get wherever you need to go in 20 minutes. So, like right now, am I focused on buying homes in Garfield Heights and maybe more C-class neighborhoods? No, not as much, because they're not moving as quickly, right? So it just depends on how the market is.
Yeah.
If the market's not great, we're not buying there. And if things are moving in a certain neighborhood, we'll buy there. So it's being more selective now and in tune to your market conditions. I mean, like during COVID, man, you could buy anything and sell it in a day and have 15 offers on it. The reality is the market has changed now. So when you're in the business every single day like we are, it's probably hard for an outsider to understand that, but you just know it. You understand it. You learn it. It's my full-time job.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. So got location out of the way. I made a list, by the way. That's why I'm going one by one here. So we got location out of the way. So now I want to ask you, because I've walked through houses with you. I have my guesses for what you're going to answer to this question. I hope my guesses are right. But so you walk up to a property and you are looking to purchase the property to do some renovation and flip it. When you walk into that property, what are you looking for? And when you see what you're looking for, you're like, oh, this is golden. Like this is a great property. What are some things that you're eyeing for?
All right. So like when I was looking at houses with you, right? When you first walk up, I literally, it's the same routine every single time, right? I'm looking at the key components. How old's my roof? Do I need to do a roof? Do I need to do windows? Windows are more expensive than roofs these days. How's the driveway? No, that's true.
Really? Yeah. Windows are more expensive than roofs?
Windows are very expensive. How's my driveway, right? Are there any glaring defects? Is the porch falling off? Is the siding rotted? Whatever. And even if that, honestly, in our business, if I see things like that, that's what I like to see, because that means I'm probably more apt to get a good deal. If I need to do windows, if I need to do a roof, I'm going, this is great, right? But for somebody like you, a retail buyer, I would say you're looking for those things to be done, right? But in our business, no, we buy the worst house on the block. We want to do everything because that means we're getting a better deal.
So are you looking for a roof that needs to be redone, or are you hoping, like, what are you hoping when you walk up to these things? Like, what are you hoping is in good condition and what are you hoping is in bad condition?
It just depends on the numbers, right? So okay. Like if I'm going to a house and somebody has a price tag on it, right? So there's 2 circumstances. Sometimes we go to a house and like if it's being marketed by a wholesaler, they say they want $70,000 for it, right? I know that $70,000 is a starting point. So I'm going, man, I hope the roof is done. I hope that the windows are done, right? But on the flip side, a lot of times we're getting inbound calls because we do a lot of off-market deals and direct mail, and people call us directly. So if I walk up to a property in that circumstance and I see that the roof needs to be done, I see that the windows need to be done, I think immediately, okay, I can, negotiate harder, right? And point out these things to the seller and go, this is what it's going to cost.
As leverage for them
deal.
to get their
Right.
price down.
So it's just a case-by-case basis, right? If the price is set, you hope that it's done. If it's not, you negotiate more. So...
Gotcha. I didn't have this one in mind, but do you you kind of touched on it a little bit. Any other tips for negotiating a good price?
I honestly, what I've learned, and I think that what sets us apart again is I'm just honest. I've won so many deals, not because I'm the highest bid, but because people trust us, they like us, and we go in and we just say, I will sit down with the seller if it's an inbound call and say, this is what it's going to cost me to fix the house, and this is how much I plan to make on the house. And if that doesn't work for you, I understand, right? Every house we go to, we want to make, say $40,000 on. I will tell the seller that. Say, it's going to take me 3 months to do this project. It's not worth it to us if we're not going to make $40,000. And a lot of times there's other people that come in our competition who the seller feels swindled, or they feel like they're not getting the full story, right? They feel like they're getting taken advantage of. So I think taking the opposite end of the spectrum honestly gives us leverage, and just saying, hey, this is what it's going to take and we're going to do it,
But I have to ask, if someone's selling a home and someone like you comes in at whatever, $100,000, and another person comes in at 120, say the person coming in at 120 doesn't seem honest. To me, it's like, it doesn't even, it's 20,000 more. Like, the seller really doesn't care. At least that's what I would think.
It's not everybody, right? But there are some people who, like, take an estate, for example, right? You inherit your parents' house and it needs work. You guys just want to get rid of it, right? And it's split up between your 4 siblings, right? What difference is $5,000 going to make if you have a gut feeling that Luke Schimpf versus Joe Schmo is going to come in and actually close the deal? He's honest. He's going to do what he says he's going to do. If you have a gut instinct that somebody's, slimy or whatever, a lot of times, if you're already well off, and a lot of these people already are, right? A lot of times we're dealing with siblings that they don't care about the money. They just want to get rid of it. They want to go with the person that they feel the best about. But not every time.
And so, okay. All right. Fair. And so that's the advice section of the podcast for real estate right there. I want to get into what exactly it is that your partner Jack is doing. So Jack is heading up the sales team. So is his job mainly finding buyers for your flips?
No. So Jack works with a lot of out-of-state investors. So we use a site called Bigger Pockets. Have you ever heard of that? Yes,
I have. That, you know what? The book that I read has mentioned that website many, many times.
So Bigger Pockets offers a service to real estate agents to advertise themselves and get more, like, it's a lead service. So Cleveland right now is one of the hottest real estate markets for, like, rental properties, right? The cash on cash return is the best. So you've got a lot of people who live in California, other states, out of the country. I mean, he's representing people right now that literally live in, like, Nigeria or China, Asia, all over the country, who are buying real estate in Cleveland because on paper it makes the most sense out of all the other markets you could invest in, which is what's exciting about us living in Cleveland right now.
So he's the one finding these investments?
So it's just, he's representing these buyers. So the multiple listing service, right? Realtor.com, Zillow, you can go online, you can find yourself a duplex, right? In Cleveland Heights or wherever it is, right? But people choose to work with Jack as their realtor to facilitate the transaction, right?
Oh, so so he literally might not have anything to do with some of your flips. Like you literally might be doing everything with the flips?
Jack doesn't even know probably half the houses we own right now.
Okay, see, I did not know that. I thought at least for me, I thought he was, selling some properties like you didn't know about, but I also thought he was the one kind of helping you out finding buyers for your flips. I didn't know that.
So not always. Like if I have a great duplex, right, that would make a great investment for maybe one of his out-of-state clients who's looking for a turnkey investment. We've literally one time, and I would never do it again, he would agree, renovated a house for one of his clients that was out of state. They just, they micromanage the whole process. But anyways, in most circumstances, no, he's not finding buyers for our flips. But if I have a great deal that would make sense to one of his clients, obviously I'm going to share it with him. We have a meeting every week, and he would go, oh, I have somebody who would be interested in it. I don't have to pay a buyer's agent then. Saves us, 3%, and his client gets a great deal, but or a great product, and we move on. But his business is solely selling real estate in the greater Cleveland area, primarily investment properties, is kind of his niche. Now, if somebody called him in Brecksville and said, list my house or whatever, we would absolutely do that too. Mm-hmm. We work with a lot of our friends and family and our sphere here in Brecksville. So yeah, we're set well. But I'd say 80% of the homes he sells are rental properties.
Okay, so yeah, mentioning rental properties, I know that you have, so that's like the other side of the business, and we'll talk about that. But, and obviously, so we talked about flips. It's funny, I'm gonna ask you this question because I asked these on the last one, but we'll ask it anyways. In your opinion, rental versus flips, when is it right to do one or the other? Because there are, a lot of kids out there, or I'm saying kids, like a lot of the people listening to this podcast are going to be people like me, where it's like, they're listening to you and it's wow, flips they sound so great. But at least to my understanding, it probably costs a little bit more money to get going with a flip than it would to get with a rental.
Not necessarily. So like a lot of people I think there's a misconception in real estate, right? That you're going to get rich off of, owning a couple rental properties, or you can live off of it. You can live off the passive income, right? You need a lot of rental properties to be able to live off the passive income. None of us can live off of, say, your average rental property, if you're leveraged, is grossing, $400 a month in monthly cash flow after all expenses are paid. You need a lot of those to be able to live a comfortable life, right? But there's also a lot of other advantages with rental properties. There's tax incentives, right?
That's like the biggest.
That's the biggest thing. So a lot of people who make a lot of money buy real estate, right? Because they can depreciate the asset. They can write off a bunch of stuff against it, right?
Yeah.
You can start an LLC. If I take Michael Subsky out to dinner, right, I'm going to throw down my rental property card, right? Because we talked about real estate. And you can depreciate the property over 27 and a half years. I think I just said that. But for us, why we flip is to generate income, right? Right now, the stage of my life that I'm in, I need to generate income, right? To go buy more rental properties. So I think for somebody who has a W-2 job, good income, right, that doesn't want to make real estate their full-time job, right, buy rental properties, don't flip houses. It's a headache. Flipping a house, you could have 2 houses you're flipping. It is a full-time job, seriously.
Yeah.
But now Jack and I are kind of at a point in our business where we're going, I think that we're going to regret not keeping more of these houses that we're flipping, right? I don't want to look back and have 1,000 properties on my resumes that I flipped and I've kept, 10 of them. So it's riding that fine line. We both have houses now that we've bought. We're both a little bit more comfortable, and I don't want to look back and regret not keeping more. So we're at finally a point in our lives. We all have Jack just bought a house. I bought a house. We have some money in the bank. I'd rather now maybe not make a $30,000 profit on a house. I'd rather refinance the house, get all my money back out, and keep it for the long term, knowing that in the long run, it's going to pay itself off. I'm going to get tax breaks from it, and eventually it'll be paid off in literally a printing press by the time I'm, 50 years old. So I'm trying to shift my mentality now from short-term gain to long-term gains.
Well, yeah, but using that short-term, using that short-term gain to increase exponentially what you can, just keep on exponentially increasing that short-term gain. Using that short-term gain to buy more rental properties. Does that...
There's a fair balance.
Yeah,
There's a fair balance, but like our goal next year, we definitely want to keep a lot more. So this year we'll keep 2 this year. We did 30, 32. So 30 we sold, 2 we kept. But
wow.
So I don't know. Everybody has a different method, right?
Yeah.
And maybe that'll ebb and flow if things continue to go how they go. So
what other benefits are there? Besides tax benefits and just cash flow? Is that it for real estate or not real estate, for rental properties? Or is there anything else that I'm missing? I'm trying to think right now if there's anything besides just, having consistent cash flow and
principal pay down, right? So the tenant's going to pay the house off over 30 or 15 years, however, long you have it amortized. So theoretically, if I take a 30-year mortgage, right, I have a tenant in there for 30 years. The house is paid off in 30 years. At that point, I own the asset outright. It's probably appreciated tremendously, hopefully, right? So you capture all the appreciation. Another benefit is, the principal pay down, and you have a paid off asset. It's literally, once the house is paid off, that money, it's all, you don't have to pay the bank.
Yeah.
It's all to you. So you can have one house in Garfield Heights. It's $150,000 paying you $1,700 a month once it's paid off. That's your money. You're not paying anybody else that money. And imagine if you had 20 of those every month.
Yeah, right? That's what Paul was saying. He was saying if you go down the rental property route, you wake up one day when you're old and you just realize like, holy shit, I'm rich.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
That's the coolest part. That is really the coolest part is that, it's a long-term play, but it's not guaranteed, obviously, but it's very...
That's why I'm saying, okay, right now I can sell a property, make $30,000 on it, but 30 years from now, after everything's said and done, I could make literally $1 million on it, or a couple $100,000, whatever. A lot more money is the point.
So for the kids, I keep on saying kids, for the people watching this podcast, right? I want you to, for the people like our age who are actually able to kind of dive into this and, if they wanted to do what it is that you're doing, they could dive into it like right now, hypothetically. What would be the path that you would give them to be where you are right now?
I think it goes back to what we were talking about earlier. Just trying it out. See if you like it, right? I mean, so clarify your question a little bit more. Are you talking about somebody like who is my age, like in college?
Yeah. Let's all right, like me. Let's say I just graduated college. I'm listening to this podcast and I'm saying to myself, wow, like Luke's business sounds awesome. Like flipping sounds like the real deal. But I don't want to just take all the money that I have right now and just throw it into a property, not really knowing what to do because I'm not very knowledgeable on it. Like,
dude, I'll stop you right there. I didn't know what the hell I was doing. I didn't. I figured it out. You just have to do it. That's why I think so many people get hung up on it going, well, I don't know what I'm doing. Well, you don't know until you try it out. You really don't know. Sure. And what's the worst case that happens? You're 22 years old, 23 years old, and you lose all your money. Oh, I know it would suck, but whoop-de-doo. You've got your whole life, That's not the worst thing that could happen to you. And chances are you're going to find a way to figure it out. You're going to know somebody who's like me, who probably got you interested, who you could call and get advice from, and you'll figure it out. Sink or swim.
That's definitely I was actually just thinking about this to myself the other day. My biggest problem, and I definitely get this from my parents, is I often get stuck in analysis paralysis. I think that's what they call it, where I overanalyze.
Ask my partner Jack about that. All these out of state people who just fixate on their Excel spreadsheets.
Yeah.
You know?
Well, that's the accounting in me. That it really is the accounting in me, and I've always tried to acknowledge that and just try and stray away from it. But that is definitely a big problem that I've always had, is just overanalyzing, considering the risks too much. But I think the knowledge that you gain from just doing it, even if you lose money, like, that's worth it.
Here's a perfect example.
Coming from someone who's never done real estate, by the way.
Yeah. Like 3 years ago during COVID, when interest rates were at 2.2%, right? And at the time I couldn't have, but you've got people in your ear. My parents, for example, say, my God, the prices are so high. Like, the market's, it's a balloon, blah, blah, blah. Every single person in 2021 should have bought as much freaking real estate as possible at a 2.whatever% interest rate. Oh my God, like, seriously, how rich, like, that is never going to happen again. But people were too fixated on the fact that prices are high, which they're higher than they were in 2021 right now. So to your point, you just got to get off the bench. I mean,
yeah. Well,
that's not saying you. Just get up, just try it.
Yeah.
Do it.
My only thing is, and this is the analysis paralysis in me, is just, you buy a rental property. Like, I'm not going to say how much money I have. But I buy a property, I put a lot of money into it. And then, me overanalyzing, it's like, oh, what if another opportunity comes up? That's always what I've always struggled with. Like, if, I'll probably cut this part out, but like, if I would have gone through on that flip with you, I would have missed out on the crypto boom that is currently happening right now. True. And me being the over anxious guy that I am, I would have been like, oh shit, even though the property did work out very, very well for you, that's just the type of guy that I am. And I know that is something that I have to work on. Like, I have to just let go of that.
I mean, at the end of the day, it comes down to, you have to decide what you want to do for the rest of your life. Would you rather, and I'm not saying one way is right or wrong, would you rather focus on crypto in the stock market, or be a real estate investor? I mean, seriously.
100%. 100%. Well, I guess this time it might have just worked out for me a little bit, but next time it might not work out for me.
You've had a lot of big swings like that. So
crazy swings. I've gotten so lucky with the. I don't
think it's luck. I mean, you've watched it. You've studied it. Right?
Yeah, a little. Yeah, I mean, a little bit. I not really studied. It's more of just like the long-term belief that I have. Like, when I made an investment in Nvidia a while back, and I had a lot of faith. I was telling everyone. I had blind faith. I was like, oh yeah, Nvidia leaders, the front runners in AI, self-driving cars, GPUs, all that stuff. All this, like, all of those things I see as the future of the world. And because they are the front runners in what I think of as the future of the world, I just had this blind confidence in them.
How long did you study, watch it?
No studying.
It was not, you didn't just wake up one day and go, all right, Nvidia's going to take off.
No. It was I'll give credit to my roommate, Jack Dustin. He was invested in Nvidia. I don't know how much he had in there, but he was talking about Nvidia. I think it was sophomore year, freshman year. So maybe 3 or 4 years ago, he was talking about Nvidia. So that's when I first heard about it. And from my brother, it was both him and my brother. That's where I first heard about it. And then I probably spent a day, maybe, just watching videos on YouTube about it. And I was, this is a long explanation because I don't want to make this about me, and I kind of talk about this in my first poker video, but the key to becoming like a good poker player is understanding the long-term moves in the game of poker like the long-term moves that will make you a profitable player. So like, I don't know how much you know about poker. But
I know nothing.
Like a long-term play, for example, this is the most basic thing I can think of. 2-7 offsuit is like the worst hand in poker, right? A great long-term play for that, whenever you get that hand, is to fold it every single time, right? So like that's a long-term play that increases your profitability in the game, right? 100%. Like that is a 100% play, a long-term play that will make you money. So like a long-term play that I saw with Nvidia is that it was the front runner in technology that I see actually being used 20 years down the line, 30 years down the line, not just like technology that's going to be here in 2 years and then gone in 5, technology that will be here forever, So like that's how I looked at Nvidia when I made that investment. Right. But let's get back to the real estate. We talked about in real estate investment properties, flips, and then we also talked about the sales side of your company. Let's talk about just you owning your own company, because that is a dream. Maybe some of the people watching this aren't necessarily super interested in getting into real estate, but they love the idea of just owning their own company. Before we start talking about the positives of it, I want you to give them a little bit of a reality check, because you've told me about it a little bit. But what are some things behind the door, so to speak, that people don't see that you would just love to air out? Like, just what are some things that you deal with that that people just would not love if they started their own business, not to deter them away from starting their own business?
I think you're right. I mean, there's definitely a lot of misconceptions, right? Like a lot of my friends, and overall, I definitely do think I've never worked for corporate America or worked for anybody else, and I knock on wood, hopefully we'll never have to, and I don't take that for granted. But there's certainly some misconceptions, right? A lot of my friends go, "Oh, it must be nice," right? You get that a lot. Well, it is in some ways, but you don't see behind the door all the time, right? Like when it's great, it's great. When it's bad, God, is it bad? So I will have some months where I'm on top of the world, right? Like everything's going great. And then some months I'm going, holy shit, I'm going to have to go get a job, right? Or my life fucking sucks, So specific examples, I'm not, I really don't even know. Like I can't get into it, but don't be fooled by a lot of the, maybe a good word is glamour, right, of owning your own business. There's certainly a lot of struggles and challenges and growing pains. I mean, we've had a ton of growing pains this year. We have made so many big mistakes. I've had probably more failures than I have had successes, right? But we're here and we're learning and we're getting better, and every day is a new day. So one foot in front of the other, and I believe in what we're doing. I believe that I'm building a good name for myself. People know us, they like us, they trust us. But every day is a new challenge. So
this is something that I talked about in the first video that I made a podcast. I don't know if I made a podcast where I literally just talked to myself for an hour and a half, literally just me and a camera, no conversation. But would you say when you fail, are you learning a lot more than when you have a success, or is it you say pretty much?
They make the successes that much more worth it, right? Like
yeah.
We've had a lot of triumphs this year. We've made a lot of money on some houses. We've lost a lot of money on some houses. So it makes it that much more sweet. And you know what? Every single time that I failed, I certainly have learned more than when we've won, right?
So yeah, that's what I was gonna kind of get into a little bit. But with me at least, when I am playing poker and I screw up and I lose all my money on a hand,
right?
Those are the hands, like I can remember more vividly the hands that I lose than the hands that I win. Like the big hands that I lose compared to the big hands that I win, I remember, and it hurts me a lot more.
Right.
It hurts a lot more when I lose a hand than it does feeling good after I win a big hand.
Right.
And remembering those hurts always reminds me of what I did wrong and not to make that same mistake again.
Right.
And I kind of apply that to life. When I screw up, those are cemented more in my mind. And because I'm constantly thinking about my screw ups, whether it's screw ups, I don't know, at work or just in any of the stuff that I do, when I'm trying to think of other things, like when I'm playing golf, when I'm
You are an overanalyzer on the golf course too.
Oh, way too overanalyze. Yeah. I overanalyze everything. And that comes from just me, being an accountant, playing poker my entire life, because you have to overanalyze in poker, because poker is all about analyzing. But yeah, just, you learn so many good lessons from when you fail. And that's, I try and just always remember that. It sucks for I'm talking more about poker, but it sucks. It's the worst feeling in the world when you lose. I've lost thousands of dollars on a hand of poker before, and it is the worst feeling in the world. But the hand that I'm actually thinking of right now that I lost thousands of dollars on, the one thing I can guarantee you is that specific situation, I will never make that mistake ever again.
So I think that's a good bridge into what I'm about to say here. I think that one of the biggest things about being a business owner is you have to be adaptable. So like right now is a great example, right? We've been riding this COVID high. Like the market was great for the first 3 years that we were in it, doing what we're doing. And now is kind of the first time that I'm experiencing a little bit of a downturn, right? So, and what does that mean for us, right? It means we got to pay less. I overpaid for properties, even literally 6 months ago that now are hitting the market, and I've got it, not a problem. I'll probably just, we won't make as much money or we'll break even on them. But you know what? You live, you learn, you ride the highs, you ride the lows. And at the end of the day, I think where a lot of people get into trouble, and thankfully I've had good counsel, I have the right people in my circle. It's why you save for a rainy day, right? Because being a business owner, especially, there's going to be good times, there's going to be bad times. You have to kind of remain at a level pace, right?
Yeah.
So I'm very fortunate to have had, my parents have set me up with great, advisors and just people in my life who genuinely care about what I'm doing. They want to see me succeed, and it's helped me a lot. So
yeah, this is a law that I follow when I'm playing poker, which is kind of what you said, with like riding the highs, riding the lows. I forget who said this quote, but it applies to poker so perfectly, and I'm sure it applies to real estate as well. You're not as good as you think you are when you're winning, and you're not as bad as you are when you're losing. You're not as bad as you think you are when you're losing.
Yep.
That is that is the mindset I have adapted for literally everything. When I'm on a crazy streak in poker where I'm winning a ton of money, I just try and stay level-headed.
Right.
Like I am not the best poker
Right.
player in the world, even though it might seem like it right now, because next week I will be down I'll be down a couple $1,000.
That's just it. Like, you could be example, right? Somebody sees that July we were the top producing team, right, in our brokerage. But what they didn't see is that I lost $20,000 on a house, right, that I sold. So there's always two sides to every picture and image. So being level-headed, I think, is it's a trait you have to have if you're in our business. And not going, oh shit, I just made a lot of money this month, I'm going to go, buy a brand new car or do whatever. It's no, realize that don't take it for granted, and everything could change like that, right? 2008 could happen again, right? It's a very likely possibility.
You think you could?
I think it could, yeah.
This was actually one of the topics that I wrote down. Because I guess when I hear real estate like market crash, right, I don't necessarily know what that means. And maybe I'm not even going to try and explain like a guess at what I have of what that means. Could you explain to me and maybe to them, like, what does a real estate market crash look like?
So like right now, we're not in a crisis by any means, but what's slowing the market down is there's a lot more inventory, right? So in COVID years and all that, and up until I'd say a couple months ago, there were more buyers in the marketplace than there were homes available, right? Now there's more people trying to capitalize on, okay, I'm going to get top dollar for my house, which in turn means there's more options for the buyers that are in the marketplace to choose from, right? So like right now in Garfield Heights, I have 2 houses sitting. 6 months ago, there was probably 50 homes on the market in Garfield Heights. Now, right now, as of today, there's 123 homes on the market in Garfield Heights. So all the buyers that are in the marketplace have more than double the amount of homes to choose from now. So there's less competition, or there's more competition as a seller, right? Which means my house is going to sit on the market longer. I'm not going to have multiple offers probably. We're seeing a lot now where for 3 years, it was always going over asking price. Now we're going below asking price, right? People are able to negotiate now.
So would I be correct in saying that when there is a real estate market crash, that it's actually beneficial for someone looking to buy a house?
Oh, well, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So if it's beneficial for someone looking to buy a house, if there's a real estate market crash, it's the right idea to go out looking to buy rental properties?
Oh my God. Yeah. Like right now, honestly, in a way, a crash, I wouldn't be
no, that's
I'd find a way to capitalize on it.
No, so that's what I'm saying is a crash really, I mean, obviously it's not great for someone who's flipping houses, but
so somebody like a crash to your average person who's not in our business, like say, my parents are trying to sell their house, right? And we're in the midst of a real estate crash. My parents don't own any rental properties. They're not in the real estate business. They're going to go, oh my God, this sucks, right? I can't sell my house. I've got to sell it for, pennies on the dollar, whatever it is. But for somebody like you and I who sees opportunity, my full-time job is real estate. I would find a way to make money in the crash, right? Knowing that in the long run, it's going to pay off. And I could buy a property. I could fix it up. I could refinance it, keep it, and put a tenant in place. So it goes back to being adaptable, right? There's a business model in every single economic environment.
Because it's so funny because I was at lunch today, literally today, at work, and I was talking to this girl. She was asking me about like the stock market. I don't know. I mean, I don't know much about it, but not as much as others. But the one thing that I said that I think shocked her, and maybe this is just me being naive, but I am hoping that the stock market crashes. I really am. I want Bitcoin to go to $10,000. I want Nvidia. Nvidia had a 10-to-1 stock split. I want Nvidia to go from $140 to $40 or like $30. I want that to happen because that means I can buy these stocks at a great discount. That's what happened. That's what happened with Nvidia. So it just so happened to be that when I was learning about Nvidia and when I gained all this confidence about Nvidia, it just so happened to be that there was a dip in the market, a big dip in the market. And Nvidia was down. I don't even want to take a guess at the percentage, but it was down a lot, right? If that crash, if that dip didn't happen, I wouldn't have made as much money as I did compared to like, if I were to just buy Nvidia right now, the market would need to still go nuclear. It would need to keep on going on the path that it is for me to make money, but not even as much money as I would like to.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? And that's how I think about it. Like my mindset when it comes to like in terms of like market crashes, like stock market, real estate market crashes, is whatever the general public is thinking, you want to be thinking the opposite. Not necessarily the exact opposite. Like, not necessarily like, oh, the market's going really well right now. Everyone's very happy. I should be sad. Not like that. But like when the market's crashing and everyone's panicking and everyone's terrified and everyone's,
when you jump in.
That is literally like, I want that to happen because I know that is where opportunity is made. I think I'm going to botch this, but someone said that when the market is crashing, that's when the most millionaires are made.
Yeah, oh yeah.
And if you understand that, that's such a huge advantage that you have over everyone else.
I have a very good friend, and I won't say his name, as you would probably know them too. He's been a great mentor to Jack and I. He made, during 2008 and 2009, the whole financial crisis, he still owns all the properties. He's a medical salesperson, right? So had a good job, great income, saw an opportunity. He didn't own a single rental property until that time. He now owns, I think, 57 properties that he bought all during the financial crisis, that he paid pennies on the dollars for. A house in Garfield Heights for, $25,000 in 2008 that's now worth $175,000. He paid cash for everything. Like, he's a multi-millionaire now. Has made millions of dollars just because he saw an opportunity, he got in.
Yeah.
That's a testament to what you're saying, seriously.
So do you think I'm right on that? Because that's how I've always felt.
You're 100%
when I say that to some people, they look at me like I'm crazy.
They're not an entrepreneur.
I don't want to say like I want the real estate market to crash, but in a way I do. I don't know.
For you have nothing to lose right now because, like me, all of the projects that I'm working on would go to hell, right?
Yeah.
But then if I somehow miraculously got out of them or whatever, got back on my feet, then yeah, I'd start buying again, right? And we could buy and figure our way through it, but you just got to adjust. I mean, I could, like, the sales business would take off, right? Because Jack, my partner, has a fantastic network with people who have a lot of money, right? You could call on every single one of those people that have a lot of money and go, now is the time to buy, right? And our sales business would go through the roof, right? I could start selling real estate again because we have a community of people who have wealth and see opportunities like that, right? Not everybody has that mentality. It's a special person, right? So I think there's many different business models that could be made out of a bad time like that.
For sure. I agree. Man, there's not as much opportunity. Like, it's not as great buying Bitcoin at 90,000. I mean, a lot of people they want to get into crypto now that they see this boom happening.
Yep,
I can't believe Trump actually endorsed crypto. That's crazy. But, so many people are interested in crypto now that they see it booming.
He probably owned a ton of it, right?
Me?
No. Trump.
Oh, yeah, I'm sure. Him and Elon, I'm sure, own a shit ton of it, and they're probably already dumping it as we speak.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know. Maybe, I think it's a great mindset to have, the opposite of what the public is thinking. I think that's don't be a sheep, so to speak. So now, getting towards the end here, I want to ask, what are some attributes that you think you have that make you as successful as you are? Or some attributes that you see in other people who are super successful in real estate? What are some characteristics that those people have that others don't, that make them so great?
Well, first of all, I think I've got a long way to go, right? I think it's funny thank you for saying that, but I really, there's a long way to go, right? Attributes to somebody who is successful in our business. I'll go right off the rip with what I was saying earlier, adaptability. I think another great trait is just you got to be passionate about what you're doing, whatever it is, right? Last time we talked about this, saying I wake up every single day excited about what I'm doing, right? I can't go to sleep sometimes because I'm excited about a deal, or I'm obsessing over a deal that I've been looking at for however long, right? So I think that helps my drive because I genuinely love what I do. I'm excited to wake up every day and go to work. Another trait is, I think it's going to sound cliche, but I just got to stick it out. Like, you can't give up, right? There's been a lot of moments, especially recently, where I'm going, oh, like, is this for me? You know, you kind of second guess yourself sometimes. So, and I know that in the long run, it'll be worth it. But you can't give up. You can't give up.
Sure. It's just all about keeping that level head too, you know? Making sure you stay neutral, you know? Don't get too excited. Don't get too down on yourself. It's very important for literally everything that you do.
I think that's a great point. Yeah.
Everything. And then I wanted to, you know, obviously you gave tons of great advice on real estate, on owning a business and all that. What about just living life? You know, I mean, you're so young and you own this very nice house in Brecksville, Ohio, very nice city, right? Like, what are some tips that you have for someone for just living life, you know, for just becoming successful, you know, in general? You know, what are some things that maybe you do on a daily basis that don't have anything to do with real estate that you would tell anyone to do if they wanted to change their life for the better?
All right, this seriously is going to sound cliche. Please don't laugh. Show me your friends and I'll show you your future. Seriously. I have a fantastic friend group.
You do.
One sitting right in front of me. My best friend is my business partner, right? Which a lot of people would say don't do that. But so far it's worked out great. And I think that if it ever didn't, I mean, we would still mutually be able to respect each other and move on. And I genuinely don't think that'll ever happen. But I love who I work with. Yeah, I mean, I'm just trying to keep a level head, like you said. So you ride the highs, you ride the lows, and you wake up every day acting like you have nothing. That's honestly the mentality that I have. I get up, I go, all right, I've got to make money. So
don't even think about what you've already made. Like,
no.
You just got to keep striving for more and more.
You got to keep going like you have nothing, right? Because the truth, honestly, is it could change. It really could change. Everything that I have right now could go away like that, right? And that's always in the back of your head. So one wrong move, one big screw up, one lawsuit, one market downturn, I could be done, right? Seriously.
Yeah.
So in a way, it kind of lights a fire under your ass to be like, you got to keep working.
How do you prepare for that?
You save for a rainy day.
When you say save, you literally mean save money, or like?
Yeah. I think live below your means.
Okay. Well, there's, yeah.
Living below your means. I think my partner and I do a pretty good job of that, and not getting too, okay, you know, like, let's go buy a, you know, new Porsche or whatever. Not that I could buy a Porsche, but go spend extravagantly, go on a bunch of trips. Like, I even look at some of my peers, right, and going, how the hell are you in Cabo, Mexico, or overseas in Europe doing this? Like, I could barely do that, right? And I think I'm doing pretty well compared to most people. So it's priorities. I think it's priorities overall. I mean, would you agree with that?
No, you know what? And that's my mindset. That comes from the accounting. But like my mom was like the type of person where if I was going to the mall, she'd be like, oh wait, I have coupons for that, you know? And I'm like, Mom, we have a very, like, we're doing all right. Like, I don't need a a 50-cent coupon to go buy Scotch tape. You know what I'm saying? like that has been ingrained in me. And even though I've said that to her, I notice it in myself. Like, I hate like going and spending money on something that I know I don't need.
Same thing. I'd be growing up, and it seriously goes back to, I think we both have great set of parents. I'd take a 2-minute shower. My dad would be screaming at me, "Dad, what are you doing?"
Yeah. My dad was, my parents were the type of, my mom and dad were the type of guy or type of parents where it's like, don't leave the lights on.
Yeah.
Even though it costs maybe $1.
Yeah, I don't think that the 30-cent difference between me taking a 5-minute shower and a 7-minute shower is going to break the bank.
Yeah.
Right?
Like it hurts. When I'm doing like online shopping or something like that, or when I'm looking at something online, I'm the type of guy where it's like, I will spend like a week before I decide that I want to buy this t-shirt. You know what I'm saying? Like, it takes so much out of me to actually put my credit card in and pull the trigger on that. And I know that it'll help me in the long run. For sure. And I'm very happy that I've been blessed with the mindset that I have, that I don't want to lose my money, but also that mindset of not wanting to lose money that may have something to do with what I talked about earlier with like my analysis paralysis. I'm like, I have
it's
this
a blessing
money.
and a curse.
It is a blessing and a curse because it causes me to not want to take risks. But at the end of the day, if you want to win big, you got to take a risk. But it's weird. It's so weird that I have that mindset of like analysis paralysis, but then I go out and I'll play poker and I'll lose I'll lose a lot of money at a time. Like, it's so weird. I will struggle to buy a $50 shirt, but I'll have no problem buying into a poker game for a couple $1,000.
Yeah, that is kind of strange.
It's a very strange, incredibly weird mindset that I have that I need to change. I should stop playing. No, I shouldn't stop playing poker, but I should stop having that mindset. But I don't. Yeah, it's a weird thing. But I think this was how long have we been going? We've been going over an hour and 15 minutes because we had that first. I think we've gone an hour and 30 here.
Here we go.
So this is definitely worth it to redo this one. This is a much better podcast than the first one that we had. I think we got much more. It flowed a lot better, and we got much more better details on everything. I think this was very great. So, hey man, thank you. Thank you for being on the podcast, man.
Yeah.
Hey guys, this was episode number 2 of the Choose Wisely podcast. If you didn't learn anything, I don't know. It's crazy because I have talked to him. We did this podcast twice, and I even learned some new things that I wasn't expecting to learn. This is exactly what I want out of this podcast. This is a great way for young people like you and like me to just learn about different, jobs, careers, and just different aspects of something such as real estate. But yeah, thank you for tuning in. I hope you got some value out of this podcast. I know that I did. Like I said, this was episode 2 of the Choose Wisely podcast, and I hope to see you soon. Thank you.
Thanks for having me on, Michael.